So Morgan Gibbs-White is being linked to Tottenham. Niko Williams being linked to a championship club. And Scott McKenna nearly on his way back home. Welcome to your Forest transfer news. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are well, and welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest transfer news. Coming up, we'll be telling you all this Morgan Gibbs-White stuff. Oh God, it's going to be interesting. Niko Williams, is he on his way out of the City ground? And will McKenna, with all due respect, just hurry up and go so we can get some money, bro. We need the money. We need the money. Anyway, if you're enjoying the content, as always, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And just a quick reminder, so Frank Clark, who we were meant to interview on the day Steve Cooper got sacked, which got moved to today, is now moved to Thursday, and hopefully will definitely happen on Thursday. So anyone who has set their diary for tonight at 7, add 48 hours onto it, and you'll get to see the legend himself, Frank Clark, only on FFTV. Okay, let's kick this off, and let's start with this Morgan Gibbs-White story. And for me, I'm just like, come on, Spurs, man. Really? What are you playing at? Because Morgan Gibbs-White is not for sale. It would take an astronomical amount of money for this to happen. But let us rewind and take you back to the start of these rumors. Now, we heard it. Most of you probably would have heard. If you haven't, I'll tell you now anyway. But there were these rumors that Spurs had sent scouts to watch Morgan Gibbs-White in a couple of the Premier League games recently to scout him out. Now, off the back of that, some people were reporting that they're after him in January. Others are reporting they're after him in the summer. I'm telling you to all piss off because he's not for sale. But this has started to develop and the rumor mills are starting to get stronger and stronger. There's numbers being floated around like 80, 90 million for Morgan Gibbs-White. Will Spurs come in January? Will Spurs try to charm him? None of that's going to work for a couple of reasons. Firstly, Morgan Gibbs-White is the heart and the soul currently of the Nottingham Forest team. Yes, that's all sentimental, but it is important. Secondly, and more importantly, he is tied down to a contract the length that Todd Bowley would get excited by. So he isn't going anywhere. And it's not like his contract is anywhere near expiring. If I remember rightly, he signed something like a 5.5-year deal or a 5-year deal when we signed him last year. So he's at least got another 4 years left on that. Thirdly, why the hell would he want to go to Spurs? Because Spurs are Spurs and they always crack and they'll always do crap. And also, look at the reaction the Spurs fans have given to Brennan Johnson. Now, in my opinion, Brennan Johnson hasn't been too bad at Tottenham. He's got a goal or two. He's getting a good few assists, but they are really starting to turn on him in the Spurs fan base. Whereas, as we said to you, I mean, in fact, shout out to Sai on this. He called it early. The Spurs fans will turn on Morgan Gibbs-White, on Brennan Johnson early doors because they don't have that sentimental connection with him. Now, with Morgan Gibbs-White, technically Forest don't have to have a sentimental connection with him because obviously he's not from Nottingham or through the academy, etc. But he's come into Forest and kind of just embraced everything that is Nottingham Forest. And honestly, if you cut him open, he definitely bleeds Forest right now. So we have that sentimental connection. If he was to go to Spurs, they wouldn't really see it like that. In fact, the comparisons would be drawn straight away between him and Maddison. And that brings you on to point number 3. Is Morgan Gibbs-White going to go to Spurs to play second fiddle to Maddison, who plays in his position? And the answer is absolutely not. Now, who is better, Maddison or Morgan Gibbs-White? I know which I would answer, but I've got Forest goggles on. So what are your answers? Let me know in the comments down below. And are you saying it with Forest goggles or not? In essence, Morgan Gibbs-White is on a trajectory to that pathway of Maddison. I'd say the only thing Maddison is better than him at is free kicks. I'm probably better at free kicks than Morgan Gibbs-White. So Maddison, don't take that as a massive compliment, to be honest with you. But he is younger. He's just about to turn 24. I think he's 23, turns 24 at the end of this month. And therefore is 3 or 4 years younger already than Maddison and already a better player. And I think Morgan Gibbs-White will eventually leave Nottingham Forest. He will want to go to a big 4, big 6 team, whatever you want to call it. But the time is not right. Speak to any fan base. Look back at all the rival ones we do in the build up to the matches. And when I ask them, who are you scared of at Forest? Usually 8 times out of 10, their first name they will say is Morgan Gibbs-White. And that's why. So he has that reputation. He's on the edge of becoming an full England international. Obviously had all the tournaments with the under-21s. But going back to this story, this is paper talk. It would take 100 million, in my opinion, for Morgan Gibbs-White to go. Excuse me. And let's just add this into the equation, because people say, well, we sold Brennan Johnson, so every player has his price. But there is a massive difference between the sale of Brennan Johnson and Morgan Gibbs-White, because Brennan Johnson, as we all know, was an academy player. Therefore, the 48.5 million all went to the bottom line and was profit. Morgan Gibbs-White is not that. So there would not be the full fee that would go to FFP. And that is going to cause his price to be astronomical for Forest to get rid of. Like I said, I think it would take 100 million. But for fun, what would be your number for Morgan Gibbs-White to go? Let me know in the comments down below. And there's 2 more reasons why we can't sell to Spurs. Number 1, I hate Spurs. Hate my brother, hate Spurs. Don't want any more Forest players going there. And number 2, stop buying players that I actually like. Dawson, Reed, Jed Spence went there. Brennan Johnson. You're going to add a 5th to that? Go do one, man. Go raid like Watford or one of your local crappy teams there. For me, this is BS, paper talk, and it's not going to happen. Let me know your thoughts down below. All right, it is the time of the month where all the paper talk is happening left, right, and center. And the one that's circling around, and this will make you guys giggle. That's why I've added it. Niko Williams going to Leeds. Do I need to say any more? Do I need to say any more? One, I'm not saying Niko Williams is the greatest fullback or wingback, whatever they're called these days, in the country. But I'm also saying, I'm not saying that he's not part of Forest plans, because he is. Yes, he maybe has dropped down to second fiddle behind Montiel recently, but I still see him as part of Nuno's plans. And Niko Williams will not be for sale in this window. And especially not to a Leeds team. It's not like Leeds are going to come in and offer 50 million for Niko Williams. Never going to happen. I think Leeds want him in as loan. Why? Because they've got rid of Jed Spence now. And funnily enough, Jed Spence was playing the majority of the time, as far as I'm aware, as a left back for them. Now, Niko Williams can play that style with Jed Spence, left back or right back. Remember, Jed Spence did it for Forest a couple of times, deputising in at left back. So, is this one going to happen? No chance in hell. Vinnie Mac settings, no chance in hell this one is going to happen. So, I do not give this any credence. In fact, Leeds themselves don't give it any credence. Why? Because they've said they're interested in him, but Forest aren't willing to deal. Because the price tag we bought Niko Williams at is 17.5 million. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't think his value is held. Maybe now, at best, we could get 12.5 to 15 million for him. Why not wait? He's under a decent length of contract. Let his price rise and see where it takes us. But when he does come into the team, especially in recent times, I think he's been very good. But Montiel has just slightly outpipped him for me, irrespective of what you guys say about the Blackpool game. We just forget that one. But Niko Williams to Leeds, not happening. Rumour debunked. All right, guys, your next story on this one is about Scott McKenna. I'll make it brief because we've spoken a lot about this, but hey, this is the Forest transfer news, so we'll let you know exactly what's happening with all the players. And it's a massive tug of war going on between Celtic and Rangers for the Scottish international, that is Scott McKenna. Scott McKenna, very quickly to remind you, has 6 months left on his contract, been out of favour fell out a little with Cooper, I think over contract talks, and hasn't had a sniff under Nuno. He is definitely going to go in January. The question is, where to? The current front runners on this are Celtic. Celtic have just taken the lead with the final furlong up ahead, and it looks like it is going to end up being there. Now, the price that I'm hearing is about 3 million. I don't know if Forest can squeeze any more out of it. Maybe they can get it to 4.5. Any more than that, I'd be very surprised. There is still talks, as we mentioned the other day, of the loan deal that Rangers want to do for him, where they want to loan him till the end of the season and then have an option to buy a free player. That would benefit Forest because it will take the wages off us, but we won't get any money for it. So if Celtic are going to come in with 3 millions, I say Scott McKenna, thank you so much for being player of the year in the Championship. Not quite got the pace for the Premier League. And, I wish you all the best going forward. So hopefully this deal gets done. A lot of people are saying, well, should we not slow play these deals with Worrell and Scott McKenna because we have no cover while AFCON is going on. With Felipe out injured, it's really who? Murillo, Omar Bamadeli, Joe Worrell, Scott McKenna. And that's about it. And Felipe's injured. I say, you know what, Nuno will figure something out. So if the money's there for McKenna, we might as well take it. And I'd say the same about Joe Worrell as well. If someone's coming in with a suitable bid, then it's time to sell and time to cash in where we can, because this squad needs to thin up. But get your thoughts in on Scott McKenna down below. And that brings you up to date with the Forest transfer news. There is nothing major at the moment going on with players coming in than it's more players going out. And I expect this pattern to continue throughout the window. And then Forest to potentially look to buy late, depending on how much they've been able to get out. Will it be another keeper? Will it be a striker? Will there be another centre-back? Who knows? But we will keep you posted. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to Forest Fan TV, and we'll see you on the next video. Come on, you Reds.